him saying he was going to grab a woman. Nobody cared, dude.
Why didn't that bother you when he said he's going to grab women by the pussy?
Because I'm a man, and that's how men talk.
I think what shocked people there is that he said when you're famous, you can do whatever you want to women. And he's just saying he could just grab them even without consent.
Okay.
Is that okay?
That's not okay to do.
Right.
But I never heard him charged with ever doing that.
Well, he was found liable in court with the E. Jean Carroll case.
I don't care about E. Jean Carroll either, dude.
Well, of course, we know Donald Trump only says these types of things. He doesn't really mean it until he does, and then he does it, and then it doesn't matter anymore, because we got to give him a pass for anything.
It's entertainment. And, we've been around him long enough. It's entertaining.
I think it was a joke.
I think that's probably just fairly kind of typical Trump rhetoric.
We all know Trump uses unique expressions when he explains things.
Sometimes a little baby will spout off all sorts of words that you don't take them either literally or seriously. And that's a bit of what we're seeing, I think, from President Trump in his campaign right now.
And listen, even if Donald Trump was joking about being a dictator and suspending the Constitution for a day, there's a lot of people in this country who really want to see that happen, including a lot of the people who are giving his campaign money.
Mr. Hamilton, I don't want you to feel left out of this conversation. So I'm going to make sure I ask you some questions. Let me know if you're having problems answering them, because they really should be yes or no. Let's see, you're the executive director for the America First Legal, correct?
That's correct.
All right, and America First Legal is a member of Project 2025, which is dedicated to creating the playbook for the next conservative administration and what it calls the Project Pillars, correct?
We are proud contributors to Project 2025.
Okay, and are you familiar with Project 2025's mandate for leadership?
In fact, I am.
Okay. And in fact, you wrote some of the sections of this mandate related to the DOJ, correct?
Sure did.
And the mandate outlines policy priorities for the next conservative president. Is that correct?
It does.
You've done a great job. I just want to let you know. All right, so let's walk through some of the provisions of the mandate. It calls for eliminating the Department of Education, eliminating the Department of Commerce, deploying the military for the use of domestic law enforcement against protesters under the Insurrection Act of 1807. It also has the repealing of Schedule F status for thousands of federal employees to allow a president to replace career civil servants with unqualified partisan loyalists. That's probably my favorite of it. It also prohibits the FBI from combating the spread of misinformation and disinformation, like Russia and China, who are actively trying to interfere with American elections. I don't know why or how anybody can support Project 2025. And I know that there was allegedly a joke about dictators and whether or not that's funny, but in the United States of America, dictatorships are never funny, and Project 2025 is giving the playbook for authoritarianism as well as the next dictator to come in. And I know that you are doing your jobs here by making sure that hopefully some juror turns on and finds some viral moment of you spewing more of the nonsense as it relates to the president, but as practicing lawyers or licensed attorneys, I hope that we can all agree that no one gets indicted because someone says so. There takes a grand jury, and the grand jury is comprised of American citizens that sit down and review evidence, and they make the determination. And when and if Trump is convicted, it will be a jury of his peers, and it won't be the President of the United States.
I thought you were going to get to a question somewhere in that 90 seconds for Mr. Hamilton after you went after his 2025. I will point out the Inspector General just released a report that said the FBI retaliated against whistleblowers. One of the reasons we do need some changes, but there was no question there. But Mr. Hamilton, if you want to give it some kind of response, you're more than welcome to do that.
Mr. Chairman, my only response would be to say that there are a great number of policy options that have been provided to any future conservative administration through Project 2025, and it's an attempt to restore the rule of law.
One of of the most astounding things to me is just how unserious leadership in this country has become. Because even if you take Donald Trump out of the equation, who says the most ridiculous things, all the way up to being literally a convicted felon, and there's still millions of people in the country who want him to be president, then on the other end, you got Joe Biden, who's, 80 plus years old, doesn't know where he is half the time. He's just staring around in space, being let off. You got Dianne Feinstein, who literally stayed in office until she passed away. You got all these super old dinosaurs filling up Senate and Congress, and they ain't getting nothing done. This is the most unproductive session of Congress in the history of the country. How unserious has our leadership become? It's really, really a massive problem. But I guess the ultimate silver lining is that the younger generations, really Gen X on down, has an opportunity to really make a difference. But we got to play ball.